Oh, fucking happy Sunday, guys. Feeling a bit fucking drained from a long fucking Friday and Saturday. Had to go all the way to fucking Dunedin and play a reunion gig. It's been a bit of time between the last time I was on the old ones and twos playing in a club, but them's the breaks. Dropped the kids off at the in-laws to stay the night, and I didn't play until fucking about 10 past 2, so made for a very long Saturday and Sunday, but Friday and Saturday, so Sunday's the day in the paint shed. So this is just part 2 of part 1 that I haven't put up yet, on how I go about painting. So the shells I'm doing are Ross's shells with the flames. You'll see on the other one I've done the black around it within the silver, and then done the lights and grills. Now about to move on to the fluoro pink pinstripe. But before I smash in the pinstripe, I thought I'd show you the finished lights. I've already shown you the pic on the chat anyway. So here's some fucking lights, some fucking grills. Bob's your auntie, fucking too Mickey. So grills I always use black and silver. Lots of real fine detail. Just drop the gun down in pressure, water down your paint a little bit, and really use just the edge of the spray pattern. Today I was having a wee bit of a chin wag on someone's thread on the RC Paint fucking page on Facebook. He was asking why you can't get these super fine lines, and there's a few people saying a few things, and then I said a few things about the difference with lacquers and acrylics, and I thought, fuck mate, what pressure are you spraying at? And the guy was only trying to spray acrylics with between 5 and 35 psi. I picked up on this when he said that when he was trying to do blocking colour, that he couldn't get the paint to spray nice. I'm like, fuck, when I'm blocking, my paint sprays pretty primo, but I am pushing it out at 50 odd psi. Lacquers, if you ever have the chance of using the all-clad chrome that you guys are picking up, best chrome in the world, only spray at 5 to 10 psi. The problem with lacquers is if you spray them at any higher pressure, you actually set the paint before it even touches the fucking shells. You end up spraying dust. I used to use the pt2 lacquers, fantastic paints, don't make them anymore, which is a pain in the ass. And they were beautiful to spray, but you'd only ever spray them between 5 and 10 psi. Anything more than that and you started getting, you would have noticed someone having issue with Spastic's candy purple the other day, and he was showing the spiderweb effect. It's because he's spraying at too high a temperature. So what happens is, as it blows out of the gun, not temperature, pressure, as it blows out of the gun at that higher pressure, it atomizes too much, so the evaporation time of the solvent's so short, and if you're in a warmish environment, you'll actually set your paint before it even lands on your shell. So it's kind of forms silly string out of your gun. And that's how you get those cobwebs forming, because the paint molecules bind together in mid-air and form string. So lacquers, 5 to 10, 15 psi max, depending on how much thinner you got in it. Acrylics, on the other hand, the acrylics don't like spraying at all. They also don't like being reduced. One of the problems with reducing acrylics is the fact that you're using a polar solvent. Polar solvents naturally have a much higher vapping point. They don't vap off as quick. I mean, the number one polar solvent is water. And water, you need a good amount of airflow and temperature to get it to vap off. So if you start thinning your acrylics down too much, you end up where it just will take a long time to dry, but also the molecular structure means it kind of debonds a little bit, and if it's too thin you start getting orange peeling because you break your surface tension a little bit too much. So the way you overcome that is the fact that the paint has to be thicker, therefore you must be spraying at a higher pressure. So my fine line stuff, so around this grill, there's some pretty tight wee shit going, and those little wee tiny bits there, but even in these little tiny squares on these headlights, it's all shaded. I'm spraying it like 15 psi, and I'm doing it very fucking, I'm still controlling the air with the trigger as well, very fucking fine, and my paint's thinned about 70-30 just with water. I kind of just fill the cup up and put a few drops and give it a stir and go, oh, is that spraying alright? I've got my test pad down here just to check the spraying, and after every couple of strokes I then have to clean the tip, because you end up getting tip dry, but it's just part and parcel of what you're doing. So yeah, just be wary on what different guys say about different pressures, but certainly the acrylics, I'm blocking in about 50 psi, I'm shading at 15 to 20, depending on how the paint's flowing. Headlights, So grills, black and silver. Headlights, I use black and white. Stole this off Mr. Takashima. Saw his headlights. I tried them with silver. Didn't work. You aren't able to go back for a second time when you're doing shit this fine. So you want to make sure you're getting enough kind of opacity from your paint with one hit. So silver, of course, you guys know, you got to give it a couple of coats. Otherwise, as soon as you're back with black, it's fucking gunmetal. So black and white for headlights. You can just get that much better contrast with the white, and you can hit it once and go, that'll do. So again, like, we've got to remember, guys, like, if I go really close up on these motherfuckers, you can point holes in some of the lines, because it's pretty fucking tight. Like, it's not much room to play with the fucking knife in there, and then especially an airbrush. So you got to. I learned this a long time ago when I was doing fiberglass work. You know, you've got to draw the line where your level of acceptance of your work exists. So I was trying to get these fucking super smooth polished finishes on my fiberglass work when I was doing audio installs. You'd be there for fucking years if you're doing it like that. So, I mean, I wasn't building a $100,000 hot rod. I was doing some fucking speaker enclosures for a mate who was giving me a couple $100. So, same thing with the painting. I mean, these are a 1/10 shell. They're going to be driving around a track the majority of the time. Guys will come and look at them on the bench, and, you know, it'd take a real fuckwit to point out the fact that, oh, my pinstripe around my light's not uniform. So, you know, bit of give and take. Doesn't have to be super fucking absolutely perfect. You'll notice online some people will put up these real close-up pictures of their fucking special pinstripe. Look at my fucking pinstripes, my colouring, and rah, rah, rah. Guarantee if you took a whole fucking photo of the car, went through it with a fine-tooth comb, that's probably the only pinstripe that's straight on this fucking paint job. So, I mean, might have come out pretty straight, but I'm not going to sit there and fucking take a close-up picture and get someone to wank over it for me. I know it's decent enough. I know the guy who's going to get the shells will be like, fuck's better than I can do. Yeah, have some fucking money. So yeah. One thing I'll show you is, do it especially around here. Try and get the reflections off. You can see around this bit here, around my pinstripe. I left the pinstripe clear at the moment so I can show you this. So you can see how much overspray is going outside of that pinstripe. That's to give you an indication of just how much paint I was actually leaving inside this black area when I was doing that shading. When I was saying I spray mainly on the mask, I mean, this is a good indication to show you that yes, I am spraying mainly on the mask. If you take into account that pinstripe's a good 2mm wide, and then I've still got 2mm of overspray on the opposite side of it, goes to show that what was actually going on the area that I wanted shadowed up was fuck all of the spray pattern. And that's where a lot of guys are, you know, when they're starting out, they kind of wonder why their shadows just don't look good compared to guys who've been doing it for a while. When I was using lacquer paints, yeah, I could go in with a fucking pencil thin line and drop shadow the fuck out of things. I don't use lacquers anymore. I use acrylics. You can't do that. So really utilise your overspray to do your shadowing. And this is just a good indication of how much overspray was actually going on. I mean, look at that. Look how thick that fucking line is. You can see, especially down here where I've come off, this area here, you can actually see how much of that fucking line was going into the part I wanted black. Most of it, probably a good 80 to 90% of that spray pattern was going on something that's not even supposed to be black. And I've just used the edge of it. So that's just a good indication of what I mean by spraying on the mask and not actually wet. You're not spraying the line that you want to paint, you're using just the edge of that spray pattern just to slowly smooth its way in. The bonus about that is that, you know, you can do multiple passes, and if you have a little wee fuck up where you kind of haven't taken your finger off the trigger on a lick and it goes up into another one, you can quite easily just go in and just kind of smooth it on out a little bit, because there's not as much paint going down at once. It just makes your whole shading experience so much easier. I won't be able to show you with these shells, but I'm going to be doing a couple probably on a later video that I'll do especially for you, is to show you how I lay down my actual shading for my colours. These haven't got multiple colours in them, it's going to be blues, whites, it's fuck all. So the actual depth of my shading on these, I mean, it comes out looking good, but it's nowhere near compared to what I do for colours. And I'll show you about how I start with an edge colour, usually with a transparent, and then I'll throw in a tight edge with a darker colour, and then as I step through my lighter colours, as I go through the colour spectrum, my brush gets further and further away from the shell, and that naturally widens the spray pattern up and gives me a natural fucking fade into my final base colour. And that's how I can get those colours which are just so fucking deep. I'm laying in, you know, 4 or so different shades of colour. So for oranges, for instance, if I was doing orange flames on this, I'd start with throwing down a transparent red, and then I'd usually go with scarlet fluoro next, and then I'd throw in some orange fluoro, and then I'd usually throw in some fluoro golden yellow, and then depending on how light I wanted my flame, I'd probably then go in with fluoro yellow to finish it off, and then of course back with white, and that gives you that real wicked kind of real deep orangey red on the outside, just a fucking hint of it, and then a real nice gradual fade to that real hot kind of yellow in the middle. And the natural overspray, since you're pulling the gun away and it's technically making your spray pattern wider as you're pulling the gun away with each pass, you get this real natural kind of fade. You don't have lines of colour. I'm spraying on the same spot of the shell, it's just each time I do a pass with a different colour, I've moved the gun further away and utilising that spray pattern widening, and that's what gives me those nice fucking gradual fades. So I'll pop this one off now and smash out these fucking pink pinstripes and the window trims. I think I'm going to do pink window trims. Pretty sure on his buggies I did white, but I think I need a little bit more on these, so I'm going to go fucking hot pink on the windows as well. And then I'll come back when I actually start shooting some blue on the flames, because I will use kind of that process where I start moving away to give me a nice, usually with a single colour on white, I'll do a tight pass and then I'll go back in with a further away pass, and that just ensures me that I have that nice tight colour on the edges, but then get a nice natural fade afterwards. So I'll be back very shortly once I've blasted this pink on. You don't need to see me do it on one colour wonder. It's pretty fucking self-explanatory. Sweet. Alright guys, we'll just lay the hot pink pinstripe on. And you can see it's pretty fucking hot pink. You may be asking why you didn't hot pink before blue. One of the things with hot pink is even though you could consider it a lighter colour than your blues, it's got real good penetrability when it comes to overspraying underneath colours. Reds and anything based on red do like to show through if you get overspray. So considering my blues are going to be quite light, there's a lot of blue and white together, I didn't want the pink to show through, so that's why I've done it now. It's one of those things that once you've painted with a few different colours, you kind of start realising what will penetrate through other colours. You know, you can have a light colour will show through a darker colour. Pink's one of those ones, especially a fucking fluoro pink. So hence why fluoro pink's being done now, but you know, it's looking pretty fucking tight. Goes well against that black, a nice fucking contrasting colour. When spraying pinstripes, this may seem kind of basic to some of you, but normally the way I do it is I lay down an initial mist coat of paint. So I'll go in and just lightly dust over the area with my brush, just to lay down a little platform. What I find that does is it creates a bit more kind of surface area and rough texture for your next coat to adhere to. Especially with pinstripes, you're not going to be fucking spraying from way out here, you're normally getting quite close, and the problem is with the higher pressures you've got to run with acrylics, sometimes if you try and feed in a heavy coat right from the start, you end up kind of just dispersing the paint in strange fucking areas and you get kind of pooling. So if you missed on the first coat, your second coat you go your heavier coat, you'll get a much better coverage in that pinstripe. You won't get as much pooling going on with the acrylics. And then normally what I do is I finish off, because I usually have some paint left in the cup, just doing a light mist over everything, and that just makes up for any kind of, usually around the tips and stuff, you sometimes miss them. Makes up for any parts that you may miss. Now this has been already backed with white. You can see my white spray paint in there. I back everything as I go. I don't know if you guys do. I know there's a lot of painters out there that don't. Some guys don't even back the final thing with white spray paint. They use fucking clear. I back everything. So if it's a light colour, I'm backing it with white. If it's... actually, no, all colours I back with white. I back metallics with black. And that's every single layer. I seal off every single layer with some standard fucking Pro line I'm using at the moment, because that's what I got. Just whatever white paint you're using. I did used to have... I've got big bottles of Createx black. I used to have big bottles of Createx white. I used to load them into the bottles that go on my Badger bottom feed, and that way I had my backing paint ready instead of using my good paint. I buy that shit cheaper, and I back every single fucking colour. You know, when I mean colour, I mean like block of colour. So if I peel the flames, I do the blue, then the white, then I back it with white. If I was doing an orange section, I'd go through all my reds to my oranges to my yellows, and then back with white, and then go on to the next colour. I don't know if you guys do, but you should. It just means that you're getting more true colours and run much less of a risk of bleeding other colours into that part of the design. So I'm going to go peel off some fucking flames. They should be nice to peel because I've already done the middle layer. It's one of the bonuses of, you know, a lot of my paint jobs, I will do a really dark middle layer. It adds contrast and makes the fucking paint job look real fucking sweet. But the other bonus is yes, it's tricky to peel that layer off first because you've got to go in between all the rest of the mask and stuff. But when it now comes to this part, I'm just peeling paint. I just don't have to worry about flicking these little tiny bits out here, there, and everywhere. I just grab a hold of something, just go peel a whole fucking section of mask, and then I'm ready for painting. So I'll peel this blue section. I've left my window trims at the moment because I'm still not 100% on whether I'm going to go white or pink. If I go pink, I'll show you what I do when I have to do a window trim of a more penetrable colour around a light colour like the white. This is what I was saying with Matt needing to know a little bit of info about doing that chrome pinstripe, about lay down a silver edge first, then peel off your mask and then paint whatever colour you're in. The silver reflects back the opposite way. So if you lay down a bed of silver first, it doesn't matter what fucking colour you throw on, it's not going to penetrate through the colour that's already there, because the light will be reflected back the opposite way through the colour. So works a treat. So I'm going to go peel some shit off, and then we'll come back and spray some fucking blue. Cool. Alright guys, I'll just show you this wee bit quickly as I'm in the process of peeling off these flames. Now, right in here, I'll hold it up kind of close. I've had a wee bit of a whoopsie where the mask's been slightly thin around this area here where it folds over, and it's just slightly peeled out a little bit of my underlaying paint, just because of where the crease was and stuff like that. Show you a wee fucking trick. So, considering I've done a black and silver fucking background, this is going to be fucking easy. And this is also the bonus of, you know, every single layer of colour I ever do on any shell. I always use quite a dark colour to put a pretty good solid line around the edge of everything. What that means is that it's usually just a single colour that's on an edge. I don't have to try and fix up a fucked up fade or something like that. So I got these lovely barbecue skewers, and they're fantastic. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to dip the tip in the fucking in the black paint. I'm just going to simply just try and massage a little bit of black paint just in there, just to kind of trim up that line a little bit. You know, it won't look as good as if it was just the fucking mask, but, you know, it's going to be fucking pretty fucking close to it. I just want to, you know, trim it up a little bit to make it look better than what it would normally look if I just hit it with the paint now. So, just going in and just massaging it in, and it should just be enough to take any kind of there we go, just like fucking that. You know, there will still be a slightly jagged line there, but it just fixes that little bit up. I got another wee bit just underneath it which is looking a bit scrappy, so I'll just try and bleed a little bit into there as well, just to trim that line back up. Just like that. How are we looking? Just try and feed a little bit more into that top edge. He's still a wee bit scratchy looking. It's not the easiest when you got the shakes a little bit from a fucking dusty weekend, but just like that, I've gone and just kind of slightly rescued a little bit that might have been a little bit too untidy. Did I have to do it? Fuck no. But I wanted to do it to make it look better. I just noticed another bit I might have missed a peel on. Yeah, so I got another bit here which has gone a wee bit pear-straped as well. It just happens from, you know, around some of the corners your mask can get a wee bit thin and you end up getting those bridges. So and it goes and peels the paint instead of peeling the fucking mask. You just dust her in. It doesn't matter if you kind of get a little bit of overrun, because it's much easier to take it off once it's dry as well. So I'll dry it off, and then I'll just quickly go back in with a freshie, and I'll just trim the line up just by scratching a little bit of paint off. And there we have it, fixed. Not 100%, but it's going to be, you know, about 70% of how I'd want it to look. So it's kind of, instead of going, oh fuck, I fucked it, then trying to figure out what to do, I just, you know, you patch it up as good as possible. Again, they're fucking 1/10 shells driving around a fucking racetrack at 80 k's an hour. Pfft, who's going to be looking at them that detailed? And if they are, so, you know, paint it yourself, you cunt. Yeah, like that. So, peel the other one, I'll come back to you. Alright guys, so they're all fucking peeled a rooney. I'll give you a quick wee look. The second one I had to fix up a few wee peels as well on the paint, nothing major, just where mask has been a little bit thinner around some of the contours of the shell. One thing was around the grills where there is quite big indentations. Of course sometimes you won't get clean peels because the mask is thin there. When you peel the mask, you can sometimes peel the mask from underneath the paint and you get this kind of jaggedy paint edge. The easiest way to deal with them is with Q-tips. Just fucking give them a wee wet and then just brush those kind of jaggedy bits of paint back onto the painted surface. Just fold them over, and that way they won't fucking pop back up when you go and put your proper layer of paint in. So I'll give you a look at this now. Now if you just concentrate purely on the bits I already have painted, and it kind of shows you what I've previously meant by positive and negative space. So if you don't look at it as flames, but look at the painted silver and grey section, you can see that it forms a pretty interesting shape in itself. And that, you know, when I do flames, that's what I'm looking for. When I draw a flame, I don't look at whether I've drawn the flame well. I look to see what is left behind, you know, if that creates a good kind of pattern, because that will then tell me whether the flame's any good or not. So it's just an indication of, you know, kind of what I mean about the old positive and negatives. You know, interesting shape that flows in both directions. So one thing to note of. So these are pretty much ready to go. These flames are a nice blue to white fade. The whole design was to be kept quite cold because he likes his fucking Game of Thrones or some shit like that. So, you know, I had to come and think up with colours. So, you know, first thing of course I do is give them a wee dust down with the old ISO. Helps to remove any loose shit as well. And also gets rid of those dreaded ghost farts. The shit vaps off straight away, so fuck, you know, you just spray it on, boom. Too fucking easy, that's that one done. Put a little bit more in the gun. I use ISO for cleaning my guns as well. I soak them in it, and it brings them up quite nicely. I don't feel like it wrecks the O-rings. Fuck, I wouldn't know. I've never changed an O-ring in a gun in my life, so, you know, I buy my guns second hand, so it doesn't really worry me. So, number 2, give them a wee fucking dust-a-rooney with the old ISO. Stops the ghost farts. Spraying it in at my blocking pressure, which is about 50 odd psi, somewhere around there. Making sure she gets a good covering. It just stops the static. When it vaps off, it takes that static charge with it. Some people use anti-static wipes and shit, but this is just fucking easy. Look, whoa, really hard to do. Piece of piss. So that's that tickety-boo. Just got to check one wee spot. Doing that also allows you to have a wee look-see to make sure that everything's peeled correctly. Yeah, it's on the outside. So as far as blue's concerned, I don't use fluoro blue. I fucking hate fluoro blue. It never sprays nice. I've tried every brand and it's just shit. So So fluoro blue gets the arsehole in my opinion. It's the one fluoro I just don't fucking use. They're just crap. So if I'm wanting a real fuck off bright blue, I use basic blue by Vallejo. This colour's just fucking good. And it's like it's actually more, it's brighter than the fluoro blue. So I don't know, but yeah, fucking basic blue. This gun's a bit gummy, so hopefully it plays ball for me. The fucking trigger's sticky as fuck. So we'll see how it goes. This is just going to be kind of fine lined around. I love these bottles as well for squirting it in. They're just fucking primo. So I'm going to add a wee drop of water. Nothing too major. Just to kind of make it flow a little bit better. But this paint seems to run pretty fucking nice anyway. I really like this basic blue. It's just a good fucking, look at that. It's a good colour. Hopefully don't run out of too much time doing this. So I'm just going to give you a quick wee fucking hoo-ha on doing this and drop my pressure. You gotta love that fucking twin stage fucking bullshit I got going on there. I should do a wee fucking competition because I got another one of these fucking shuttle valves at work. Should do a wee comp for you, and whoever can fucking squeeze my nuts the tightest, I'll build you up one. Fucking bit of fucking painting a rear end of my fucking gun here, make my trigger all fucking shit. So always, yeah, like you just saw me do, always check my fucking spray pressure and shit like that, make sure it's all tickety-boo. And the other thing I do is when I'm starting, I normally start in the in a much broader area to. Ooh, that's fucking terrible around there. Let's see if I can just fucking clean him up quickly. That's what I mean about jaggedy lines around fucking where shit peels off. Just fucking nub him down a wee bit. There, does he look? No, you wouldn't fucking notice him. You just kind of fucking fold them back. Happens all the time. What are you going to do? So yeah, I start on a bit of a bolder area, and that gets me kind of in the groove. So on touring cars, for instance, I always start with lining around the lights and grills. Oh, you fucking slut. That's when you have big fun, when shit like that happens. So it's just gone and fucking dropped a whole heap of that scudgy shit that I was trying to get rid of inside the trigger out onto the fucking paint job. Luckily it did it when I was about to spray around something big, so it mainly went on the big bit. Fucking sorted. Hopefully that doesn't fucking spit down there again. It's just like when I threw a little bit of water into the back here, it's finally spat it through the airline instead of picking the paint up with it. Should be alright. Give it a whirl. Hope it doesn't fuck my whole paint job. So what I'm doing is just going, you know, a couple of quick wee coats and just building on them with distance from the shell. So you can see it's got this nice kind of radiating edge around the lights and grills. I also like to utilise the contours and stuff in the shell as well, so I usually pop some into the wheel arches and around this front edge of the bumper where it's kind of quite pronounced and stuff, I'll utilise the mouldings in the shell to get a little bit more depth and colour. So I'm going to smash out these fucking flames. Again, it's the same process I used before. I'll try and do a nice tight wee line, utilising the overspray. I'll do one quickly now. We'll try and do this roof area. Need a little bit less fucking, a little bit more thinner in there. So there you go. See if I can stick some white paper behind it so you can actually see what I've kind of accomplished. If that makes it easier to see or not. So when doing stuff this fine, you'll notice that I've gone on the big bulbous parts, I've gone a bit heavier. Now, I'm not trying to outline the entire part of the flame because it'd be a fucking prick to try and do that with such a tight wee design. So what I can do in a design like this is I can go in on those heavier areas and really work them nicely. And what ends up happening is the overspray from your spray pattern kind of puts a tinge of colour into the rest of it anyway. Like, I don't have to go up one side of the flame and then back down the other, especially if at the bottom of that I've got two real fucking heavy bits. I can go up one side of the flame and line that, and then I just come back down into the bottom bit down here and put some heavier stuff in there, and then that way you're going to get overspray colour onto it anyway, so it's going to look fucking blue. But it will give you more depth. So it really has been, I'll try and get a fucking better view, but I highly doubt it. You can see kind of where I've concentrated the paint into that design to get it where it needs to be. And then simply, you know, I'll do that one pass, really work on it quite nicely. I'll have a look at it, and then I'll go back in for a second quick pass. Because this is just the one colour wonder, I'll go in for a second pass and just make sure that I've got both halves of the car kind of with the same depth of colour on it. And just kind of tweak out a few extra little pieces. And then I smash white in behind it, and she's fucking done a Rooney. So I'm going to carry on and do that. And yeah, I'll probably just cut straight back to the finished product, because after this is just the background, which has just got a slight hint of, I used transparent blue around the edge of that fucking pink pinstripe and just flick some blue dots through it, and then the rest is fucking white. So I'll blast this one out, I'll get it all fucking curly-whirlied up, and then I'll come back for a final show and tell. Magic! So there we go, just fucking blasted those up, gave her a quickly wipe down just to check some of the lines. Some of the lines are a wee bit kind of, there's a few wee hit and miss marks, but to be expected when you're doing some real fine shit like this. Overall, you guys won't be really noticing it because this is about the distance you'll be looking at fucking shells anyway. You can see just a good amount of depth for just a blue and a white. You know, just using the spray to give me some good kind of depth, and of course utilising that contrast to really, you know, give some life. So I probably will go with the bright pink window trims as well once I get the white done on the rear. But all in all, looking pretty fucking sweet. Can't complain. The guy's a banker, he'll pay. Sweet. Well, that's probably it. I might just quickly show you once it's done and then upload the vid. Sweet. Right, and there we have it. Oh, fucking tickety boo. Just like I fucking bought one. Too easy. I'm going to upload this bitch and then you guys can be able to see it. Too easy.